Today, I'm telling people about a YouTuber named Spinosauruskin. He's a talented young MRA who puts out content regularly, and I think it's a shame that more people don't watch his videos. He did a takedown of Steve Shive's newest anti-MRA video, 5 more stupid things about the men's rights movement, that I thought was really good, and I wanted more people to see it, so I asked him if I could upload it to my channel. I'll put a link to his channel in the low bar, and I think it would be great if you would go and subscribe to Spinosauruskin. So here's his new video, or one of his newer videos.
Here are 5 more stupid things about the men's rights movement.
Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Selective acceptance.
So when I first saw this, I thought he was going to talk about how we don't accept certain facts but others. But that would just be a lie. No, he's gonna go full retard.
Men's rights activists don't typically exhibit terribly positive attitudes toward women.
Citation needed.
But there are exceptions. For example, women who agree with them.
MRAs tend to prefer women who agree with MRAs. Who'd have thunk it? Now say something self-evidently true.
Feminism is, at best, unnecessary and, at worst, oppressive and misandrist.
That's a pretty good evaluation of feminism. Thank you, Steve.
Or, no, you know what? That's it. Women who reject feminism are highly favored by MRA.
Women who reject the Westboro Baptist Church are highly favoured by gay rights activists. Women who support feminism are highly favoured by feminists. I don't see your point here.
They're held up as evidence that theirs is a legitimate ideology based on facts and reasonable assumptions, not a hate movement based on projection, fears of inadequacy, and unhinged misogyny.
Wow. The projection is real. And it's so funny that you accused us of projection. It's just a paradox. Someone who's projecting is accusing us of projection. Just Sargon's Law. Valerie Solanas walks into a bar and murders all of the men in it. At least I know what your sense of humour's like.
Anyway, if MRAs hate women so much, why are there women who agree with them?
You do realise that we don't take that argument seriously. But you flip the script, and that's what feminists use. What we're doing is we're showing why the existence of male feminists does not prove that feminism is for equality.
Funny how that same logic doesn't seem to apply to men who support feminism. Dishonest denial. One of the most interesting phenomena surrounding the men's rights movement is how many men will strenuously deny having any association with it, even while parroting its talking points.
Yeah, I'm completely aware of these kinds of people. What's your point? What? That they're afraid to call themselves MRAs due to the power of that thought-terminating cliché? Maybe they want their actual position to be evaluated and not dismissed with 3 letters? Or maybe they just hate labels, so much so that they get shifty when you call them a category of human rights advocates. Or maybe because they don't actually support the men's rights movement, and they're just as deluded as you and think that we're all misogynists. But no. They're all MRAs, because that means that you can plaster everyone who disagrees with you as an MRA, including angry misogynists that do exist, and you can call them MRAs, and then you can say that MRAs are misogynist. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's circular reasoning. If they don't call themselves an MRA, if they don't support the men's rights movement, they are not MRAs.
And really, who can blame them? The men's rights movement is
Perceived to be.
so toxic, so obviously fueled by bigotry and male insecurity that even people who agree with everything MRAs typically say don't want to be taken for one.
So, wait, they're calling MRAs misogynists. Well, feminists do that. They agree with feminists, therefore they must be feminists. So now you have all the fedora neckbeard cretins. The I'm not an MRA but types. They're all yours now. We don't have to deal with them. Because this guilt by association fallacy seems to be okay. And even then, it's based upon a mind projection fallacy. Just because they perceive the men's rights movement as misogynist does not necessarily make it a misogynist movement. They could just be wrong. But no! If they agree with you, they can't be wrong. Then you can hold up anti-feminists as evidence for something. But they're only an authority on the men's rights movement. And how evil and misogynistic that is. But everything else is bad. Everything else they say is completely wrong and evil and misogynistic. I just don't understand you, Steve, sometimes. You're a fucking cretin.
Luckily, if you're a guy who is sick and tired of being called an MRA when you're not one, there's a real easy fix. Just stop being such a sexist crybaby.
Steve, you are a male feminist. You wouldn't know sexism if you saw it, even if you were so far up Valerie Solanas' arsehole that you could poke your head out of her mouth while she was writing the Scum Manifesto. You are a raging bigot, Steve. And you don't even notice it. Because you explain away double standards with buzzwords. What you have to understand is that these people can't stop being sexist assholes because they never were one. But you'll never realise that. Because you can't get out of the mindset of bigotry. It's why you call people MRAs. It's because you want to group people into boxes so you can prejudge them. And they're not going to let you do that. I, as an MRA, am not going to let you do that. If they don't want the baggage of the movement, they can't have it. I'm not going to give it to them. But you will, because you know it's your best argument against them. And that's really sad.
Try it. You might be surprised how well that works for you.
Obviously, he's not speaking from experience.
Harassment of critics. The men's rights movement is reactionary by its very nature.
Citation needed.
It lashes out at women
And men who oppose the movement.
and feminists in particular. On a daily basis, feminist writers and activists are deluged with hate mail and death threats from outraged men.
And although he has zero evidence that all of them are men, let alone a single one of them is an MRA, he's going to assume that anyway. This is why I call you a bigot.
Some, like Lindy West or Anita Sarkeesian, are arguably better known for being victims of misogynist harassment than for their actual work.
These are people who get mean comments on the Twitter and make shit tons of money out of it. Professional victims are not going to get you out of this argument.
Others have been driven from the public sphere altogether, which is understandable.
I've never known a feminist, let alone a female feminist, feel the need to use a text-to-speech program. I think that speaks volumes about harassment on the internet.
But is also a terrible shame, because that's what the harassers want.
Let's take Anita Sarkeesian for an example. Genuine critics of Anita do not want her to get harassment, because they are fully aware that the harassment she gets helps fuel her narrative. It would be pretty counterproductive, wouldn't it, Steve? And the thing is they wouldn't want to silence her either. They don't want her to shut up. They want her to keep talking. Because the thing is, everything she says is bullshit. And that's our best argument against her. The more she says, the more we can refute. The more we can argue against. And the more we can show her for the fraud she is. So the only people who seem to be harassing her must want her to have her narrative fueled. Must want her to get more Patreon donations. Just saying. Maybe the people who are harassing her are actually doing it because they want to help her. Now, tell me about feminists.
Unable to intelligently answer their critics, they attempt to intimidate them into silence.
University of Toronto. University of Detroit. Just say. But the thing is that the only people who can actually intimidate have to have some kind of power backing up the threat. So if MRAs...
As you might expect, they're a bunch of fucking losers.
Then it doesn't make sense that MRAs could intimidate, does it? We don't have the resources or the power to do so.
And when that doesn't work, when they are unable to overwhelm feminists with the sheer force of abuse,
of which you have given 0 examples,
they resort to other equally vapid tactics, like derailment and distraction. Many MRAs engage in a sort of troll guerrilla warfare,
which is a fancy way of saying arguing with the opposition.
Infiltrating the comment sections of articles and videos that deal with women's issues.
Name one.
Posting responses designed to paralyze discussion with irrelevant bickering.
You mean arguing with the truth of the contents of the article? For fuck's sake, it's honestly, it's fucking genius. He is honestly trying to shut down discussion by claiming that one side of the discussion is trying to shut down discussion by discussing. Like, how anyone buys this fucking bullshit?
Demands that feminists identify legal rights available to men but not to women are common.
And instead of addressing it, you dismiss it as trolling and harassment and paralysing of discussion. The fucking projection.
There's also the ever-popular appeal to bigger problems, in which the MRA will express his dismay that feminists aren't more concerned with the plight of women in developing countries or the Muslim world.
So it's not a legitimate argument when MRAs talk about women's problems in the Muslim world as opposed to the Western world, but it's a legitimate argument when it comes to men's problems in the Western world as opposed to women's problems in the Western world. What?
It's not that he gives a shit about those women, he just thinks that feminists should worry more about them and leave sexist American assholes like him alone.
This is all fucking projection.
Still, this isn't the worst thing about the men's rights movement. When it comes to that, it's hard to get more disgusting and inexcusable than rape apology. Men's rights activists attempt to minimize or dismiss concerns about rape in a variety of ways.
Because MRAs bullied the government to define rape as forced envelopment, hiding male-on-female rape. Oh, no, it was the other way round. It was feminists bullying the government to define rape as penetration, hiding female-on-male rape, saying that's not rape. We are not the rape apologists here.
Ignoring the existence of acquaintance and spousal rape.
Citation needed.
Blaming rape victims for being promiscuous or dressing too provocatively.
Citation needed.
Spreading fear and paranoia about a non-existent epidemic of false rape allegations.
We don't know how many there are. We honestly couldn't tell you. Lower bound's 2%, upper bound's about 94%. And even those are shaky. It's really a dark number, and we'll never know. Is there an epidemic? Possibly. All we know is it happens. And that's important.
And generally acting as though making rape an easier crime for men to get away with is their primary goal, which it is.
Arbiter of truth, tell me more.
This is not a civil rights movement as it claims to be.
Arbiter of truth, tell me more.
This is a hate group.
Prove it.
Populated by resentful failures too weak to carry their own baggage.
Totally not coming from a place of hatred and bigotry. Now, Steve, tell me what you think about women.
They're some of the most pathetic human beings known to me, and their only redeeming quality is that they're so much damn fun to smack around.
Apparently, hatred and bigotry's okay as long as it's to the right people.
Which is fitting, since most of them seem to think that's all women are good for.
Citation needed. Steve, you're a disgusting, hateful human being. It's difficult to tell whether you are actually sincere in any of what you are saying. You know what I think? I think you're afraid. You're afraid of everything the men's rights movement stands for. Free speech. An open dialogue. An opposition to bigotry. Pointing out double standards. And intellectual honesty. You hate us because it's everything you pretend to stand for. And you know that every time one of us makes a video response to a feminist, your feminist narrative keeps crumbling under the weight of its own lies. And you know you're not going to win this. And you're terrified. But let me tell you, when we're at the top, when we gain prominence and we gain control of the narrative, we will treat you much better than you treated us.